Hi, thanks very much for coming. We need your help in conducting an experiment which we hope will help us understand how better to do lectures for dyslexic students. The subject of the talk is global warming. In the first instance, there's no dispute about the phenomenon. It exists. We know that there is a now elevated Earth temperature leading to our unsustainable existence on the planet. We know too that we are damaging the human environment through global warming. And we know that global warming is damaging the natural environment. We know these things, but what we don't know for sure, or rather what there is great debate about, is that the causes of global warming are hotly disputed. I'll now discuss three of the causes. The first proposal is that it's anthropogenic, and all this means is that we done it. Human beings have caused the problem. And the way that we've caused the problem is our interaction with the Earth through our techno-capitalist evolution. This is how we have developed over the last 200 years. It's the rise of gases and waste and other things into the natural environment as a result of industrialization, and then the technological revolution, and now the digital revolution and globalization. In other words, it's about human input into the natural environment that is affecting how the natural environment keeps itself cool enough for us to live on. The second cause is that it's nothing to do with people. In this view, it's the sun's fault. The natural proximity of the sun over millennia has led to a natural increase in the Earth's temperature over time. A third explanation proposes that it's a mix of the first two, that it's both human activity on the planet and the effects of the sun, and more importantly, that humans are magnifying the effect of the sun. In other words, it's all those activities in which we engage, the techno-capitalist revolution, the production of resources to consume and so on, that is aggravating an already warming planet impacted by the sun. The problem with this is that no one can be quite sure of who exactly is causing what problem where. For example, outputs from Eastern Europe can impact Western Europe. Outputs from Western Europe can impact Scandinavia. Outputs from North America have an impact in South America. And nobody can agree who is going to pay. Let's have a look at some critiques of these perspectives. In the first instance, critics argue that the problem is actually one of the arrogance of anthropocentrism. And what this means is that our consistent placing of ourselves first and foremost is a major part of the problem. Our notion that we are the most important species on the Earth, and that we can do whatever we want to manipulate and control the natural resources around us, is in principle the cause of the problem. If we enjoyed a different relationship with the planet, respecting its incredible capacity for nurture, then we would not be in the situation that we are. People argue that capitalism's relationship with nature is in fact a non-consensual violation by force. In some respects it's a little bit like rape. That metaphor has been used quite recently and quite frequently, because the Earth cannot give consent to having what is inside it torn out by capitalist endeavour. The problem then from this perspective is that man lacks humility. He is unable or unwilling to see the incredible Earth around him for what it is. He only sees it for what it can provide for him. Let's have a look at some solutions that have been proposed. Probably the most familiar is the idea of sustainable development. In this approach, we attempt to balance the impact of capitalism against the availability of natural resources on the planet. We continue along the techno-capitalist revolution. We continue to expect to produce and to consume, but we hope that we can do it in a manner that won't deplete resources from the planet, so that your own children in the future will have compromised lives. The second approach is the idea of corporate social responsibility, or CSR. In this approach, big business, industry, and so on, try to take responsibility for the harmful impact of their existence on Earth. For example, they may clean a lake that they have poisoned, they may clean air that they have polluted, and so on. The third approach is the idea of ethical consumption. From this perspective, we are more careful about what we consume. We may choose, for example, to protect whales or dolphins or whichever other species we are most concerned with. The problem with this is that we are still consuming, it's still consumption. And that very much lies at the heart of the problem of global warming. It leads us to the point where various critics have argued that this idea of sustainable development is in fact an oxymoron. It's a contradiction in terms. And this is because we cannot sustain the natural resources of the planet and reduce global warming if we carry on doing what we're doing. K.C. Bell said a few years ago that we cannot reconcile our established notions of development and our emergent awareness of sustainability. Einstein famously said that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. It's folly, he believed, to imagine that we can change what's happening whilst continuing to behave in the same way that's caused what's happening. K.C. Bell argues that what we need then is not sustainable development. What we need to do is develop sustainably. And that means putting the planet and its resources first. Because ultimately, if that fails, then so does all of human life. Thank you very much indeed for attending this presentation. Please would you now click on the link below and complete the online survey. Goodbye.